Hey, welcome to another hobby. I'm Austin. Today's hobby is the last day of Inktober 2024. It's been an interesting year this year, doing not only the Inktober, but also trying to make a YouTube video out of it. It's been keeping me busy, but I think I'm pretty happy with managing to keep up with it. So it's time to spin these wheels for the last time this month and see what we get. Okay, Cradle Inktober, Caps, and Gristober. For Cradle Inktober, we have Grim. For Caps, we have Wonder. And for Gristober, we have Arrow. Okay, so I had to go do some stuff real quick, but I'm back, ready to work on this piece of art. I had a bit of time to think about what I was going to work on for this Grim Wonder Arrow prompt, and I think I have a pretty good idea, at least a serviceable idea. So I'm going to do a comedic panel, I guess. And okay, so my idea is somebody in the middle of nowhere doing some archery practice, and they've somehow shot themselves, and then the Grim Reaper is like confused looking, wondering what's going on. But to sell that, I need the body of the person to be readable. And this is going to be sort of a distant shot, so I have some space to have the person and the target. So if I just have them, laying down, it'll be a little bit hard to tell what's going on because I need them to be like holding the bow in a way that's obvious. So I think if I give the landscape a bit of a hill, then I can have them leaning against it. Then I can, have their body more like this with the bow. I think that'll work better. I think even though it's a bit more grim, I'm gonna have the arrows sticking out of their head. And I mean, it'd be easier to draw the bow in their right hand over here, but most people don't fire a bow like that. I mean, I guess there is people that do that, but I think maybe just the easier way to do this is to reverse my composition. So they're dead over here. And the person will be standing here, kind of shrugging, like, I don't know what happened. And just because the layout of this composition is already pretty sparse, considering making the Grim Reaper big, I'll do him on a separate layer so I can easily change the scale later, but like, what if the Grim Reaper is kind of giant, looming over the dude? Maybe this is too big. Yeah, I think having it still fairly big, then I can have it kind of center of the composition here. Given that I've made some sort of perspective kind of implied with this hill like this horizon no longer makes any sense unless they're like at the edge of a cliff. But if I use these quick sketch lines I just drew in here as kind of a reference, but I can extend them out to find where they cross, and then I have myself a horizon line. I want this to not be so much of I don't want it to be a bashful pose. I want it to be more of a confident, but almost annoyingly confident pose. Like, I don't know. It's not like they're ashamed of what they've done. They're just like, I don't know what happened. So I'm removing a bit of the slouch from the pose to make it a bit more, I guess, confident. A confident shrug, if that's a thing. You know what, actually, to help keep this a little bit more consistent, I'm just gonna cheat a bit with this one and use this same head. It might even be funny if he had the exact same expression on his dead body. Like, just doesn't care. I was gonna make him more like mouth open, crossed eyes kind of thing. But just having him staring up with this arrow in his head, I think, actually, I kind of like that. It's just almost, like, annoying how nonchalant he is about it. Well, I mean, in for a penny, in for a pound, I may as well use this too, because then I can ensure that the proportions are the same. So as much as I like the idea of him having just the exact same expression in death, I, I think it just doesn't work. It looks too much like he's just alive still, so I'm gonna do the cartoony X's for eyes thing and just, yeah, I think sells more as him actually being dead. No, now that I have this perspective, there isn't really a whole lot of reason he needs to be leaning up against a hill. He can just be, like, basically flat on the ground. Okay, so I've got the sketch done. Now I just have to figure out what I want to do for the line art. The style kind of leans towards more of a thick marker ink pen. So maybe I'll just use this Real G pen that comes with Clip Studio and make it basically an ink drawing. There's not much to talk through for this process of just inking. I suppose there's probably things that I'm doing that I'm not really thinking of. If there's anything you're seeing me doing that you're wondering about, leave a comment and I'll do my best to explain it, or maybe put it in an upcoming video. Or if you just have any general questions or things you'd like me to talk about with these kinds of projects, just let me know, and I can try and speak on them. But for this, not really sure what else there is to say as I go along. Just kind of in that flow state where I'm just going and not thinking too much about the stuff that I'm actually doing. Not a whole lot of process thoughts here. Most of that came in the concepting stage and the sketch stage. Now it's just kind of grunt work, I guess, from here on out. Chopping wood and fetching water. The stuff that doesn't take too much thought, just takes some time. This image actually might benefit a bit from me increasing the resolution. Like right now, if you zoom in, it's very pixelated. And that's the nice thing about having vector layers, is that if I do decide I want to change the image resolution, just scale it up by 2. Now these lines are actually a lot smoother because they're not actual pixels, they're just paths, right? So if I scale it up, the detail also scales up, which is nice. It does leave me with a little bit more artifacts and overlaps than I was noticing at the smaller scale, so I might have to kind of go back through the stuff that I've already drawn and make some adjustments and corrections. I'll just do like a really quick overview of this Grim Reaper and get rid of some of these overlapping edges and weird looking points. I can see a few small spots that could benefit from some touching up, but they're so minor that I don't think anybody's going to notice. If you did notice them in my quick pass over there, then kudos to you. Although you had a bit of a disadvantage, so I think that was most likely in time lapse. Okay, now as far as color goes, I need this spirit version of this dead guy to look like he's a spirit of some kind. So I'm going to have to like probably color his line work with like a blue or something. I might do something similar for the Grim Reaper, and then for the just general style of it, I'm probably just going to go really light whitish paper, not a whole lot of saturation with the color. I'm going to leave it fairly transparent, maybe try to do sort of a watercolor kind of wash feel to it. I like this brush, but it really makes my computer chug doing large areas with it. I'm gonna try and get it to work, but it might be going real slow here. Even in time-lapse, you might actually see the brush just moving at like normal speed. And I have to keep the brush fairly small, because the bigger I make the brush, the more it makes the computer have to struggle. Actually, at a smaller size, the computer can handle this brush decently, so I may continue the rest of the coloring with it after all. It's very interesting to work with the way it kind of mixes and pushes around, sort of like watercolor does. Because I'm not sure yet how I'm going to do the ghost for this character, I'm going to do the coloring on it. I'm doing the coloring on this character the same as the dead one as I go, because if I have one that is done in the same way, then I can more easily use it and add effects to it if I want to go that direction. I don't know if I will yet, but if I do, then I'll have this to work with. But if I did this whole dead one first, and then later decided that I wanted to do the ghost image by using the same base colors and adding an effect to it, then I'd have to try and find the right colors again and repaint it and make it match and everything. So I'm doing it at the same time, just on 2 separate layers. Okay, so I think for the Grim Reaper, it might be better to have regular black lines and have them feel like they're actually kind of just there. Since they're colored all black, I think it works better this way. It's a more striking image. But for the dead guy, I'm gonna have to do something to make him look more ghostly. Let's try doing a blue overlay on top of dead guy's color layer with a glow to it and see how that looks. Okay, so it's actually darkening it quite a bit. What happens if I lock the transparency? Okay, that's actually pretty good. It just kind of brightens everything up and gives it a slightly bluer hue, but you can still tell that his shirt is red and skin is pink. And now that the Grim Reaper is actually in place, rather than being some kind of spirit creature not casting a shadow, I feel like I need to darken this space underneath them a bit. I was thinking of maybe making it look like the skeleton bones are like glowing. I'm not sure if that would work well, but maybe what I could do is just make the line art on the bones themselves just a bit brighter, because right now it feels like they're just not standing out from the background very much. They kind of blend into the cloak. Being so busy, there's a lot of dark because of the line art. So if I were to brighten them up on the line art a bit, that might make them read a bit better, or it might make them read worse, but there's only one way to find out. Okay, Yeah, cool. Now I gotta sign it somewhere. And that's that. I just noticed one last thing. Alright, I keep seeing little things that I want to fix. Like making this line art in the background not stand out quite so much. Okay, I'm going to stop fiddling with this now and say that that's the end of Inktober for 2024 for me. I hope people out there enjoyed this format, me working on Inktober throughout this month. Hopefully it wasn't too many notifications popping up every single day. If that's the case, then going forward it shouldn't be quite so bad. Something more like once or twice a week, maybe less. And we'll see how it goes, what I end up getting into. I'm going to be jumping into NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, next month, so probably less videos unless I can find a way to turn writing into something interesting to watch. For next year, for Inktober, I think instead of trying to do a video every single day, what I might do is try to make an artwork out of multiple days. I'm thinking something like, instead of doing 3 prompts every day, I'll do maybe just 1 or maybe 2, like if I do the official Inktober as 1 prompt and then roll a random one as a second prompt, then start a piece of artwork where I know that it's only going to be a third of the piece with those prompts, and then come back the next day and use the next prompt to add to that piece of art. So when I do the first day, I'll leave quite a bit of the canvas open to add to it, and then on the next day I'll have a different prompt and I'll use that to add to the first piece of art without trying not to change too much of what I had from the first day. And then third day, roll a new prompt and add that to the piece, and then maybe do, rather than a video every day, do one every 3 or 4 days, so I end up with something like twice a week, where I'm sort of building up this artwork without knowing what I'm going to have to add to it as I go. I think that could be an interesting challenge. But that's a long way off. I might end up coming up with something else before then. Or I guess probably the most likely scenario is that I completely forget I ever had this idea in the first place by the time October rolls around again, and I just end up doing something else because I forgot about this brilliant idea. I guess I'm not done because I just noticed that this guy's mouth doesn't have any color in it at all. So, yeah, like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more stuff coming up. Let me know in the comments if there's anything specific that you'd like me to tackle. I do pretty much any visual art hobby, anything crafty or creative, so if there's something you want to see more of, more animation or sculpting, or if you want me to delve into narrative writing for fiction, whatever you think interests you, let me know and I might decide to tackle that first. So, thanks for watching me explore this Inktober hobby, and have a good one.